I stayed way too long. Never did I expect that I was capable of this type of thing. It drove me nuts when other people did it, but I did it too. And I think so many of us do. We put our lives on hold. We keep thinking things will get better, but then it just doesn't. And at some point, we know that we need to move on, but we just don't. We get stuck. Maybe it would have worked out if I stayed. Maybe if I just did this or that. But in our gut, we know it's done. We just can't seem to move forward and take that next step. I can talk on this subject because I did this, and I did it in the most extreme of cases. I've been in relationships where I stayed too long, but this one in particular, it sucked the life out of me, and it affected decades of my life. Had I left sooner, had I had some tools, some self-worth, some boundaries, I could have approached things differently. I was younger though. I was in my mid-30s. I had my 36th birthday just a short period of time after I met this person. It was very romantic. He swept me off my feet. The beginning was beautiful. It was magical. It was something out of a storybook. So that beginning, that kind of kept me glued in the relationship for a very long time, always hoping and wishing that those few first weeks would come back because they were just so beautiful and life-changing. Never did I think it could have strayed as far away from that as it did. It was bad. It got very, very bad. But I think I just kept hoping that somehow what we felt in the beginning would pull us through. We would get through whatever hump we were in, whatever hurdle. And, we'd get back to that. But it just doesn't always happen like that. The beginning of this relationship was so wonderful, so beautiful that it lured me in. It was magical. And it was something out of a storybook, so to speak, or a Lifetime movie type thing. It just didn't even seem real, which, is probably not a good thing. Now I've learned that's a red flag. But I was young and I didn't know much better. And, it sucked me in. So once I got in and things started to turn sideways, I kept kind of dreaming about those first few weeks, first month, whatever. And because it was so good and so magical, it was like a drug, I just wanted to go back. It just sucked me in and I couldn't get out of it. The beginning's a really sweet story. I met this person because my vehicle broke down and I needed a tow truck. So after work, I was exhausted and I had to call a tow truck and it was late and I just wanted to go home, but I had a flat tire and I couldn't get home. So this person came and I was standing like under an overhang in the rain at a gas station that was closed. And then he pulled up, and he looked a little kind of shady. He did a few little cute, sweet things. And I thought, well, he's okay. So it started off like that. And from the moment that we met, we were just inseparable in the beginning. And it just took off like a rocket. It was really fast. It was really amazing. Our first date was snowmobiling in the mountains. I mean, it was really beautiful. And no one would have ever expected that it wouldn't have ended up in a happy ever after. But it didn't. And like so many other relationships. And I stayed way too long. And it, obviously I must have been missing something inside of me to feel so quickly magnetized to this person, because that alone is probably not normal, probably not a good thing. But having such a great beginning made it so much harder to leave when it was time. I've had other relationships where they fizzle out and they weren't that hard to leave, not like this. This was really tough. And I know so many of you out there are experiencing this or have experienced this. And I just want to share some insights, what I learned from it, and how I got through it, and how I got to the other side of it. As fast as the relationship started, it also got bad. And I ended up marrying this person really quick within 6 weeks. I know that's wild, but the whole thing was wild. But I started to uncover things right away, and it wasn't good. In fact, I got myself into a hot mess, and I didn't know what to do. And I panicked and filed for divorce really quick, but that all takes time, which it did. And once I did that, I found out that I was pregnant. So it went on quite a while because of that. And so it's a pretty crazy story. I wrote about it in a book, but because it's so wild and so crazy. And I'm just skimming, the surface. The point is, I started to uncover things right away. It started to go south. It got bad. And then it got really bad. And then I needed to leave, but I didn't. I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to get out. And I kept kind of hoping that beginning would come back again, but it never did. And rarely does it ever, from what I understand, from feedback I've had over my 59 years of life. I haven't heard of many people where that beginning comes back again. It's like we keep striving for it. We keep trying to bring it back. We keep having this hope, but it can't go backwards and rework itself. It's kind of like once you've moved forward, that's kind of where you're at. And accepting that, it can be really, really difficult. And I think that's why so many of us stay so long, because we're in that space where we're wishing for something from the past, the beginning. And we can only move forward. The beginning's over. It took me a long time after I realized that it needs to move forward for me to actually implement and fix things. I went through a lot, so much. I can't even tell you. But there was a day when I knew. And from the day I knew, the point of that point, it still took a very long time before I was ready to leave. And it was very painful. And the hardest part of this was I was still in love with this person when I left. Sometimes relationships fizzle out and we know it's time to leave. And it's not as hard because, we've kind of fallen out of love. But when I ended my relationship, I was fully, deeply in love with this person. So it was very, very difficult, but I knew I had to do it. I knew I had to do it for me. I knew I had to get to the other side of this and have a new beginning. But in order to get to the other side and have a new beginning, you have to walk through fire. That's the pain. That's the time. There's, time. I hate time because it's like, you can't just fix it by doing something. You have to fix it by just kind of being still and having that time pass. And that's hard. That's really hard. And I think so many of us know that that's what we are facing. And we just don't want to go through that time. Whatever you want to call it, healing time, reflection time, growing time, whatever. It doesn't sound good when you're in a relationship and you're used to somebody being there. That time sounds dreadful. And so many of us put off doing what we need to do. I wrote this and I want to read it to you because I wrote this when I was going through it. And to me, it's very sobering because it's raw and it's exactly what I was feeling. It's kind of, it's short, it's just a paragraph, but I want to read it to you because it kind of sums up everything that needs to happen in order for us to get better, to heal, and to be free of this, whatever this is, whatever's holding us there longer than it should. I kept telling myself that I had to walk through the fire to get to the door that would open me up to a safe new life. But I tell you, from the depths within my soul, that I felt the burn of the fire the entire time. I walked through it, and the pain made me want to turn back around for fear of getting more burned than even before. Even if it meant walking back to X. X is what I call him in my book. But I did it. I kept walking to the other side. There is great strength in knowing that. And the reason why I want to read that to you is because I wrote that, like right in the midst of everything, right after it happened. And to know that what I was doing, walking through that fire, during that stillness, during that time, I knew that it was going to strengthen me. I knew it was powerful, empowering. I knew that if I could do this, I could do anything, so much more in my life. Because at the time, it was the hardest thing I had ever encountered. It was the hardest thing I ever had to do. I wasn't used to making decisions, good decisions, and things for myself, especially after being in this relationship for 7 years. And when I made that choice, when I knew it was over, I couldn't do it anymore, that no matter how bad the pain was to get to the other side, I had to endure it. I had to do it. And so I walked through that fire, and it strengthened me in a way that I can't even put into words. I'm who I am today a lot because of that. The strength that I have, the boundaries that I have. I have great boundaries for relationships, which is why I'm not in one, probably, because it takes a lot to get to me because of this. I know what not to do, what not to accept, and that kind of thing. And I've already gone through the worst part. There's no way I'm getting back into that. And so the growth that comes from putting yourself through that to get to the other side is immeasurable. You can become a different person, even if your relationship's not that bad, if it's not as bad as mine, even if it's not like that. It still takes great strength to walk away, to start a new beginning, to go through that period of time, that painful period of time. Ugh, it's awful. And I think that's why so many of us delay it. But, we face what needs to be done. If we face the idea that it's not going to be pleasant, staying is not pleasant either. But the only hope we have for having the life that we want is to get through that pain, to get through that discomfort, that unpleasantness, to become the person we want to become, and to live the life that we want. The longer we stay, the less opportunity we have to meet that person that may make our life better, or just to strengthen yourself, or to live the life that you want, however that is for you. It can be done, and it should be done earlier. We waste too many years. So many people just waste so much time. And I'm all for commitment and for, vows and all those things that we do. Honestly, that's where I was. And part of that is what kept me there for so long. And it sucked the life out of me. It really did. It took many, many years to recover from that. And I'm still affected by it. It was not good, and it took a long time to leave. But I finally did, and the strength that came from that is still with me. I'm still affected by that strength too. And I still rely on that, and I still reflect on it and look back at it. And it empowers me today. So it's just that choice of going through something that's very, very difficult. So for me, I guess to recap all this is, to get to the other side, you're going to have to go through some discomfort. And if you can face that and make a decision and a choice to go through it, you will be strengthened by it. Whether it is you making the decision to leave or being forced to leave because of other circumstances. Either way, it doesn't really matter. You know that you have to go through something to get your peace. So that's it. I wanted to share that with you because I do have credibility to talk about this issue. I've been through a lot, and I went through the fire, and I got to the other side, and my life was changed because of it. It was hard. It's still hard. It's still hard when I look back on it, but it was life-changing, and it made me stronger and helped make me the person I am today. And that affects any relationship that I'm in. And I just hope that for those of you who feel a little lost out there, who feel a little undecisive or desperate, that you can find your peace in knowing that you can walk through the fire to get to the other side. It's just time, pretty much. It's time. It's, annoying. It's awful. but you can do it, you know. It will come. There'll be a day that you'll be on the other side of all of this. And I hope this for you. I hope that every relationship works out and is magical like mine was in the beginning and has a happy ending and stays magical. That's my wish for everybody. But it's just not always that way. And when it isn't, and when you know you have to step away, then know that you can. That you can just look at it as a growth process and as a way to strengthen who you are and your spirit and your soul. So that's it. I wish you the best, and thanks for spending this time with me. I hope you got something out of it. I wish you the best of everything on your relationship journeys.